Tonight, we have a special guest. We interview him in 60 seconds.
This is the W2 Report with Sanji Homura. Here's Sanji.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another exciting episode of the W2 Report. I am your host, Sanji Homura. Today, we interview a developer who recently got into got some key issues about a year ago. But before we go into that, let's go over the ground rules with Lord Crocker Squirrel.
Rule number 1, be not the dick. Rule number 2, if you think you might be being the dick, please refer to rule number 1. Do not contact anybody that we either have on stream as a guest or anybody we've ragged on because, well, they're doing us stupid. I think us taking after them is plenty.
All right, let us introduce our third man in the ring this week, Mr. Lindgren. Who is apparently muted. All right, let us introduce our guest for this.
Sorry about that. Yeah, it's like, okay, folks, be sure not to contact the people we'll rag on. Be sure instead to talk about them behind their backs.
Oh my God! Ain't that being a dick, Squirrel?
Not on the show.
Kinda, but not really. As long as you're not threatening the poor guy, we should be good.
All right. Introducing today, we have the lead developer, or rather the creative director of Hypergon Games.
I'm drinking coffee.
Let's introduce Mr. Potpourri.
Hello. Yeah, I guess probably we should have discussed the pronunciation of my game studio's name before going on live. Don't worry, everyone fails at the pronunciation, including myself, because it's actually a mathematical term. But it's okay. Well, it's now a Pyragon Games, but apparently even I'm mispronouncing the word. So, hey, whatever. Yes. Thank you for having me on, guys. I find it really appropriate that you guys are talking about Don't Be a Dick, and then we've got Conan Exiles as the meme of the show.
Well,
dick physics and all.
This is what you get when you're a dick.
But yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. You can have a beef with someone without trying to, destroy who they are as a person. We have
a solid stance against cancel culture.
Yeah, I know. I agree with you. It's like, yeah, people can make mistakes. It's okay. Let's move on. In all honesty, I completely forgot about the key issue with that. I forgot about the Reddit post that I started to warn other devs of this key site because it's been a year. I'm like, I've already way let it go. So when you guys were contacting me, I'm like, what now? We're doing yeah, that thing. What do we do about that?
Well, first let's introduce the gaming question because I happen to have some thoughts about this. And while I do think that it could be a good game because we haven't played it yet, we do want some of your thoughts on the game itself. So here's the Steam store page for Beast Mode Night of the Werewolf.
Oh, it's the Silver Bullet edition, no less.
Oh,
yeah. So this game I originally released in 2017. It was the first a released game I've ever made. I mean, prior my history was in mod design, so I've actually released a mod for the original Half-Life way back when as well. But yeah, so this was just my first solo project, and I decided actually just last October I released the Silver Bullet edition, which was me 5 years later going, oh shit, I can code a lot better now. let's go back and fix up the game. I mean, there were a couple of issues that people had with the original game, and so I was like, I'm just gonna fix those. And I spent literally 18 hours nonstop kind of coding and recoding the stuff from the original game. But I was trying to be completely adamant that I'm like, I'm not going to rebuild this from scratch. I'm just going to fix the issues. So I did that in 18 hours, and then I went, fuck it, I'm going to rebuild it from scratch
anyway.
So that's the Silver Bullet edition that I released in October. But I stupidly didn't release it as a separate game. I wanted everybody from the first game to get it for free. And so I was just like, oh, I'll just post it as an update. That was a bad mistake. Indie devs, learn from me. Always make it a sequel. Steam can help you give that sequel to your previous fan base for free. Because missing out on the new release and all that stuff really kind of screwed you. Yeah. So, I'm proud of this game. I was so happy with the Silver Bullet edition. It is actually the original vision that I saw now, and I think it's a lot of fun. But nobody knows about it. It was a learning mistake, right? I'll know for the next one. So
yeah. A link to the game will happen to be in the pinned comment down below. Now,
cool.
Now the reason why we approached you today is because of a Reddit post that you made telling people to steer clear of daily indie game. If you don't mind, I'd like at this time to show the post in question and have you give your thoughts as we read along.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, let's start at the first email. I'd like to request removal of my game Beast Mode Night of the Werewolf from sale and return any unused keys. I'm reconsolidating back to Steam. Thank you, Peter. Now, why would you? Why would you focus your attention back onto Steam when you forgot about these keys?
Yeah, well, okay. So what I was trying to do is, because this was just before I was getting ready to release the Silver Bullet edition, I think, again, I'm probably getting all my timelines messed up. I completely forgot this was even a thing that I posted. But yeah, so I was probably, because I was contemplating doing a full sequel at one point, and then I was also at some point I decided, just do it as like a remaster. Mm-hmm. But at some point in the past, I thought, okay, I'm going to make sure, because I saw that some keys were being activated. Like I was, when you log into Steam, they give you a partner page that you can log into, and it gives you stats. And I was noticing there was some retail activations of my game, but there were no sales. I'm like, why is that happening? I'm not actually getting any money from this, but there's been a significant amount of keys being activated. So yeah, then I was like, when I originally started the game back in 2017, I didn't have a clue what I was doing in terms of marketing. So I just figured I joined Fanatical before they were Fanatical. I can't even remember what their name was prior to that, but I joined a bunch of.
Yeah, I completely spaceballed the name of Fanatical before they.
Yeah,
Fanatical
yeah.
I prefer dumbass before they became fanatical.
Yeah, but no. So there are a couple of the key retailers that are actually good. Like Fanatical was great, anyways, I think it was Green Man Gaming. I joined a bunch of key distributors, and my whole intention with that was just trying to get my game into people's hands, get people to play it, right? So I was like, doesn't matter to me. I'll join any bundle because I wasn't worried about making a profit. I mean, the game didn't really cost me anything to make, but
except a whole lot of labor.
Yeah, I mean, I don't factor that in because it's my passion. It's what I love to do, right? So, I mean, I bought a werewolf model.
It's still an opportunity cost in labor.
Yeah, for sure. But anyways, for me, it wasn't about making money. It was just trying to get eyes on the game. So I joined a ton of key bundling services, and anybody who reached out and said that they were interested in putting my game on their platform, I was like, yep, no problem. So apparently, because I don't even remember it, but apparently the Dig guys actually reached out to me, and I gave them some keys. So when I looked at my Steam stats and I saw that there was a bunch of keys still being activated, and I'm like, this was back in 2017. How are they still activating keys now? Those bundles have long expired, kind of thought. So I just went, okay, that was kind of stupid of me to just throw them out on every platform. I'd like to be able to just consolidate back to Steam so that I can track what's actually happening. That was the sole reason. I'm like, I just want to look at one place and go, okay, now I know where everything's being sold. It's easy for me to handle that way. So I just found, I don't even know how I figured out that they were on my game was on Daily Indie. I think I just did a Google search for my own game and found it on this storefront, and their price was completely different than Steam's price, which I thought was strange. They did put it on for a big discount. So I reached out to him and I said, hey, like you put this game on discount. I didn't authorize that. I'm confused why your pricing's different than what the pricing on Steam is, which is against Steam's terms of service. And, you know, I'd prefer to just request you to remove the game so that I can, you know, focus on the single platform. And then his response was just...
it was.
I mean, his first follow-up was fine. His first follow-up was, we sold your game ages ago. I'm like, okay, that's fine. But then he just kept getting weirder and weirder. My just completely regular responses. So I was like, this guy's a weirdo.
Yeah. The response here is saying, hi, your keys were sold out a long time ago. We just forgot to set your game to unavailable.
Yeah, and then I followed up asking for. I'm like, I didn't ever get paid for those keys. I gave you 500 keys. Were you guys planning on paying me? And then, do you want me to go over the email? Like,
yes. That would make things easier.
Yeah. So then, you know, he asked if you checked your developer panel. I'm like, I didn't even know there was a developer panel. I didn't know. Nobody ever told me that I had a developer panel or any access to any of this stuff. Like, as far as I was considered in this moment, I was like, I don't even remember signing up with you. I don't remember giving you keys, but I do have a text file that says I gave you keys. So I'm like, okay, that's fine. But nobody told me there was a control panel. Nobody told me I had any, you know, functionality to control this on my own. And then I was like, it's still on the website, and there's still Steam's telling me you're still activating keys. And you're putting them on, like, I can't remember. It was like some sort of 80% discount or something. I think 97% off. Yeah, I see it later in the email here. And he's telling me, no, we sold out long ago. And I'm like, well, if you sold out long ago, why is it still on sale?
Why is it still on sale? Yeah.
And why am I still seeing keys activated through the Steam portal, right? So then, he says, please check your email records. And the other weird thing is this email, it was almost like we were instant messaging each other because he was responding to everything like instantaneously as I was saying it. But it just kept getting weirder and weirder. And I'm like, this sounds like I'm talking to just a person, whereas they're setting themselves up to be a business. So the responses were really curt. They were like one-line responses. I was asking for more information. They were just giving me, like I said, he says, have you ever checked your developer panel and agreement, etc.? I said, I don't think I was ever informed of one. Please check your email records. I'm like, okay, I was hoping you'd give me more than a single sentence response. But so I said, okay. So I logged into my control panel. I see the game was put on sale for 97% off. I didn't authorize that. My last communication with you was a 30% launch discount. Why didn't you inform me that you were discounting it so much? Then he turns back and says these were bundle sales. And I'm like, well, that's not true.
No, because that's not true, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was weird. And then I'm like, okay, whatever. I'll cash out. I'll cancel my store page. I will, I'll remove my game from your store and we'll just call it that. I'm like, no big deal. I mean, maybe he interpreted what I was saying as being hostile. I don't know. But like, whatever, I'll cash out what you owe me and remove the game, and I'll be sure not to recommend you to others. Thanks. And the reason I said I'll be sure not to recommend your site to others was just the single line responses that he was giving me. I was just like,
and the intent of sending your shit to legal.
Well, I mean, that came next. That came next. So I was just like, I'm not going to recommend you because you're giving me these really. I saw them as not being very professional. His responses were like
they were not
whatever, and I'm just like, okay, I'll just cut ties with you. That's fine. So he then replies with, oh, so that was the whole point, trying the good old scam of needing a reason to revoke keys to boost your sales. I'm like, what?
What the hell?
What the hell did you just say about me? I'll have you know I graduated out of my class.
Yeah, it didn't make any sense to me.
He's got a million. He's got 1,000,010 confirmed kills with a sniper rifle.
Yeah,
and then
Well, and then he comes back. We and all our users will nicely report you to Steam and have your game removed and sunk. I'm like, what? Because I said, please take my game off of your site. This trick is so old. Every gamer or Steam staff knows this one. I'm like, I don't know it. I have no idea how you think me removing keys is going to boost my sales.
Okay. So Daily Indie Game is operating out of Canada, correct?
Sorry, say that again?
So Daily Indie Game is operating out of Canada, right?
I don't know. I have no idea where they're operating out of.
There's a major problem with this last statement here. You should also check Canadian law on remotely disabling products.
Yeah, maybe it's because I'm Canadian. So maybe he was.
Okay.
Yeah.
Another Kanakistani.
Yes.
So
yes, I said that. Yes, I said that. Not really.
So here's something regarding Valve and Canadian law that everybody should know at this juncture. According to Steam's terms of service, any dispute between a customer and a developer has to be resolved in Seattle.
Yep.
Oh yeah, that makes sense legally. They actually, I've had that. I used to work as a website designer, and I took on international contracts, and one of them was someone in Montana, And they decided they weren't going to pay me. And I'm like, oh, okay, this is great. And then I looked into small claims and found out that I would have to fly to Montana in order to sue them to get paid. So I was like, oh, God, not doing international contracts anymore.
Yeah, that would be a thing. That would definitely be a thing.
Yeah,
that's the thing that happened.
That makes sense to me. But anyway, so the after that experience of him threatening me and everything, threatening to get all his followers to remove my game on Steam and sunk, I was like, okay, that's a seriously unprofessional response. Clearly you haven't worked with customer service. How would this boost my sales? I don't even understand what that would do. And why are you threatening me at this point? All I did was say I'm going to remove my game. So here's how,
according to people who had keys revoked before.
Oh, okay.
They force you to buy the game twice, essentially.
I get it.
I helped busted a developer not too long, a couple years back, regarding Ghoulboy and the developer revoking keys to his game on Steam in order to boost the console sales.
Gotcha. Oh, that's horrible.
That's also a thing that happens. The problem, of course, is how scrupulous is your sorry ass?
Yeah. Well, the weird thing is Steam specifically says, like, if you go into the panel, I'd love to show you, but I'm going to imagine that I'm not allowed to show you.
Not allowed.
But
we're okay.
When you go into the panel, it says, don't ever revoke us. I didn't do that. Why would I? I'm like, it's not, I don't care. These are what I was making maybe 10 cents a copy when I was selling the game in Fanatical bundles. Like, it's not money maker
and you're,
for me.
And you're making 3 cents a copy here on.
Well, no, that's what they're selling it for. That wouldn't be my profit. My profit would be whatever percentage they give me of 3 cents. Oh my God.
Which is probably less than 30.
Yeah. And I mean, the funny thing too is
on to 15. You get a penny for every other one.
Yeah, totally. No, on Steam, the game was actually listed at like $3 or $4. So he was doing 97% off the $1 price that I didn't authorize. So I'm like, what the hell? This is weird.
That would be a thing.
Yeah, in my mind too, I'm like, why would I punish the people who are buying it's not their fault they bought from this guy, right? They're a legitimate customer. And Steam literally says that. They're like, just consider the customer's perspective. You're the one who's given the keys, because it's not like they can get keys without me, right? You gave them keys. The customer bought it from what they assumed is a legitimate site.
Yeah,
they're having a legitimate purchase. Do not deactivate them, which I did not. So he's just making up his own narrative here, which was really confusing to me. But I mean, I get it if I didn't understand that is actually a practice that some people do. That's fair. But like, for him to just claim that I'm doing that without actually having a conversation with me about it,
Okay, so this segues into a conversation that all of us need to have. The gray market websites and the need for those gray market websites like G2A, Kingwin, you name it, to constantly be restocked with keys from the developers.
Yeah, and so, like, I mean, there must be ways that they get keys that aren't coming directly from the developers. Like, I have heard that there are some shady key resellers. And so, for example, I joined Fanatical, right? And I have my game selling through Fanatical in bundles. So what we agreed to is I think there was bundles of like 10 games for $1, and everybody got 10 cents for every copy sold or whatever it was. So that's fine. But if Fanatical is then giving you keys to activate on Steam as an end user, like if I bought a bundle of 10 games, but I only want 3 of them, I can take those 7 spare keys and resell them to one of these third-party sites. And then I would imagine what's more likely is those third-party sites are probably buying up the bundles because they're like, I get X number of games for only $1. Cool, I'll buy $100 worth of these bundles, and then I can sell them for whatever and make a profit. So my guess is it's not always the developer, but there is a certain amount of developer involvement because, like I said, you have to partner and give them a certain number of keys to begin with. So
well, actually, not necessarily. If they're buying the bundles on the cheap from other places, then you didn't have. Then you had almost nothing to do with it, aside from giving.
Correct, except that I was the one who chose to join the first bundle where they're buying the keys wholesale from. Right. So, I mean, the truth of the matter is, if I want to partner with another reseller outside of Steam, and Valve has since cracked down on this because of the misuse. So I would, back in 2017 when I was joining the bundle,
actually, there's one thing I should say. Valve doesn't see a fracking dime off the keys. They just don't.
Yeah, correct. Right. So Valve back in the day, when I originally started joining the bundle sales, you could just say, generate me X number of keys.
And they would do
10,000 keys, and they would give you 10,000 keys. And then you would just send a text file with those keys to the other partner that you're partnering with, and they would sell them on their storefront. So yeah, Valve went, they were being nice in the fact that they were going, well, yeah, it doesn't cost us anything to generate these keys. And if you're trying,
all of a sudden you've got 100,000 people and you didn't see a fucking cent.
Yeah. So, I mean, anyways, they crack down on that now. Like when you request keys, if they see that you're doing a pattern of requesting an insane number of keys, they restrict you and say, sorry, you can't do that. But at the time they didn't. So yeah, but as I was trying to say, the other retailers cannot get keys unless they're partnering someone. Maybe they're not specifically partnering with the developer, but someone is partnering with the developer or publisher to do a bundle. So in this case, like I partnered with Fanatical, I sent them keys to sell in bundles. If Fanatical doesn't have a system in place to stop somebody from buying 100 copies of said bundle, then that becomes a bit of a problem. I kind of never even thought about it. I assumed they would only limit each customer to buying 1 or 2 keys, right?
Did you just say a bit of a problem?
Well, what I mean is I don't follow it, so I don't know how big it is. It could be a problem that I am unaware of. It's not like I do any research.
Total Biscuit, God rest his soul, happened to have had a filing cabinet full of examples where G2A literally stole keys from the developers under the developers' notes.
So, and I understand that, and my only thing is they couldn't have literally stolen the keys because you would have had to break into the developer's Steam access and generate the keys.
Well, here's how they do it. How they do it. They would
indirectly, I would believe it.
They would purchase the bundles with stolen credit cards.
Yep.
Oh, that's nasty. See, I mean, when you're not a fraudulent person, it's hard to think of how they would get away with doing these things. It doesn't even cross my mind, that this would be a thing. So yeah, that sucks. That really does suck, because then the developer isn't getting anything, their legitimate partner isn't getting anything, but this evil company is getting
something. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That's
Not just something, lots of something.
But as I was saying, I was just
Even
trying
worse,
to say
yeah.
that the developer or publisher would have to partner with someone in order. But it definitely after that, then I guess unscrupulous people
one of
can
the most
take advantage.
notorious examples that I could think of that would have been in Total Biscuit's filing cabinet was Gearbox bundling with G2A in order to sell copies of Borderlands 2.
That was a PR disaster.
So did they actually partner directly with G2A?
Yes, they partnered directly with G2A.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I mean, and so my only thoughts on why a company is as big as Gearbox, or a legitimate company like Gearbox, would do that.
They used to do that. They've done that to Squeenix.
Yeah, they probably didn't have any knowledge of it happening, to be honest. Like, they're not the ones who are responsible for setting up these deals. Some other team, oftentimes with these big companies. Yeah, exactly. And they hire a third-party marketing team, and that third-party marketing team is just responsible for doing shit. So, but usually something like that is because the people who are making these deals don't actually do any fucking research, and they don't know that G2A is considered not a legitimate selling platform. So yeah.
Well, it's Gearbox. Like G2A, it also is run by a weasel.
Yeah. No, I can see it happening for sure. I can understand it, and I sympathize. But as
a matter of fact, if you take a look at your screen on the right side, the top posts that I have happens to be from G2A.
Yeah, great. Yeah,
so let's go ahead and talk about them. But
I was just going to say. So after my experience with Dig, I just was like, okay, I want to let other developers know, stay away from them, because they're clearly not the best platform. And so, I posted on Reddit, and then, had a discussion with the other Redditors there. Occasionally I do still get a message of someone saying, thank you for letting me know. So that was my input there.
Okay, let's segue into our question of the day. What do you think about third-party resellers, i.e. Kinguin, G2A, etc.? Please feel free to drop your message in the chat or in the comment section after the live stream. And we will respond to it next week. Now let's segue into why sites like G2A, Kinguin, what have you, are king, quote unquote, of the key reselling game. Here's an article from GameDeveloper.com. A link to that will be in the pinned comment down below. Now, here is the comprehensive look at key reselling, including comments from G2A, as well as the range of indie developers, which you most certainly qualify. Now, if we learned anything from Total Biscuit, it should be that G2A, Kinguin, what have you, are shady as hell. Now, fast to play I'm gonna give some key giveaways before I tackle the article in full. Fast to Play, Kinguin, and G2 Play, that's PLAY, are all sites which are owned by a company called Seven Entertainment. Fast to Play is a store where keys are sold to customers, whereas Kinguin is a marketplace which allows users to sell keys between themselves. G2A is a separate entity. Their business also has store and marketplace components. Now, keep in mind, this article was from 2015.
Wow, they've been doing it for a while.
Yeah,
you know,
they have been in business for a long time.
I haven't even heard of Kinguin before. Like, I didn't even know these guys or Fast to Play. G2A is the only one that I've heard of before any of these things. Yeah.
All of these sites had listings for a game, but were unable to supply any proof that they were genuine copies.
Yeah, that's always fun. Yeah, that's, it's something that reminds me of the GameStop doing, selling used copies of the games. That's another way that harms developers. And,
right.
Here's the question. Here's a question for you. Okay, because you're still looking at the same object. You're looking at an object, and it's really no different than your car or other such shit.
Yeah.
Does the manufacturer of your refrigerator get a chunk of
the money
of the proceeds that you were paid for reselling your fridge?
Yeah, no, of course they wouldn't. And I mean, that's fine. They only need to get paid the one time the customer legitimately purchases it.
However,
I'm just saying this seems to be similar to that, and it's kind of one of those gray areas for the end user. Obviously, it's better for them to buy used, and obviously, it's great for the person who plays the game and then sells it to go, yeah, I played it, I'm done with it, I'm never going to play it again. Perfect. Like, personally, I use the service, right? So I'm not saying I'm against it or anything.
However,
but
there is one critical difference between GameStop and Kinguin, G2A, and stuff like that. What is shady about GameStop's practices regarding used games happens to be when the employees play new wrapped games. And they sell them as used.
That would be strange, and that's like internal theft. I totally believe that happens because apparently most retail theft is actually internal. It's your employees ripping you off more than customers.
This was company culture years ago.
Yeah.
They're ripping off GameStop. They're ripping off the game developers.
Yeah, I worked for GameStop back in I think, God, I'm trying to remember the year, 2003.
They were doing it then, and they were doing it.
It's gotten so much worse since then.
Yeah, I didn't know it was happening when I worked at GameStop, but yeah, I could believe it for sure. I mean, yeah, anytime you get a whole bunch of teenagers to be your staff, and then you underpay them and don't care about them, they gotta go fuck you to the man, which is GameStop, and say, well, I'm working my ass off for you guys, and you guys aren't caring about me. So yeah, it tends to breed.
It's like, well, the thing about the opening up the game and then selling it used, it's that GameStop is getting 100% of the money off the used game, whereas they aren't getting that margin on the new game.
You know, when I think about it, that's going to be more profitable for GameStop. Actually,
yeah,
because
what do you think that's their entire business model?
Yeah,
people don't know because that is their entire business model.
No, oh, that's crazy. Because they make about $12 on a copy sold if they sell it new, but if they sell it used, they're making 20, 30, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, I've had a look at GameStop's operation. Funnily enough, GameStop only actually makes they only make about $2, $2-3, depending on what it is.
Right. Okay, I said 12 based on Michael
The publisher
Pachter's.
gets like almost all of it.
Yeah. Michael Pachter said the retailers make about $12, so that's where I was getting that number from. But honestly, I don't know how much they make.
The actual margin on a new $60 game is about $3.
Yeah. Well, and so there you go. That's again, this is
corporate about that.
This is an example of
that's why they keep encouraging you to trade in your games. They'll give you $5 for the game and turn around and put it back out there for $50.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was saying. Is it's an example of not understanding the mind of a person who would commit this kind of fraud. So I didn't even think of it as a possibility. Holy crap! There's funny.
Your problem. You look at game development ethically.
Yeah. Oh, I look at most things in life.
You really need to stop that.
And the funny thing is, I'm the jaded one in my family.
Funnily enough, it's not even that. When you really, really, really think about it, it's not even that. It's they got to find a way to keep their stores open, and if it means that they have that used game sales are their best option, they're going to go with it.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. But at the detriment of developers and publishers, that kind of sucks. I mean,
not necessarily. Not necessarily. And here's the reason why. Like I made the car or refrigerator or whatever the hell else it is. It's it's used game sales is a physical object. You're selling a physical object. The guy that went and grabbed Madden 3K4 he plays it for 20-25 hours with his buds. He takes it back in about 3 or 4 days, so he knows he can get the maximum amount for it because it's still in demand. He gets $10-15 for it, maybe 20 if it's really popular.
Yeah.
And then they can turn it around for $50, $65, $65 $65. $5 off whatever the new price is. And it's still a physical object. There is no law, no anything else that says that they can't do that.
Unless they're circumventing it by opening a brand new game and selling it immediately as used. Which then there are laws about it.
There are laws. Yeah, that is theft and then fraud.
Oh, right. There technically are laws.
When you think about that, though, I wonder how prevalent that practice was. As I said, when I worked at GameStop in 2003, I never saw that once. And as a retailer, they're going to be getting their copies of their games from a distributor. And that distributor is going to say, hey, we've given you, let's say 10,000 copies of the games. They need to track the physical sales of those. And if they aren't, if they're opening them and selling them as used, yes, they're making a profit, but that retailer is going to go, hey, how come we've sold 0 copies of our game with you guys? They would catch on pretty quickly is what I'm saying.
Yes, they would.
There's a margin for error in that.
Exactly.
Also, GameStop never did that because they investigated themselves and found themselves innocent.
Well, I mean, I'm sure staff might have done that to their friends. It's like, oh, hey, I'll open this and sell it to you used, thinking that they're giving their friend a discount. I could see that kind of thing happening, but I doubt it was as prevalent as, I doubt that's how GameStop was making most of their profits.
It's not an epidemic of it. It's just trimming a little off the top.
Totally. Yeah. Interesting.
And what makes this even worse is that they usually have a network. Certain people have a network to maximize their profit off of this. So it's like I've seen examples where they would take a game, they would take a $60 game, and they would give it to their friends. And I'm probably repeating what you just said here, Tort, but they would give it to their friends, and then that friend would sell it back to GameStop.
Right. Yeah.
Hey, we don't want to see that.
That's just getting into weird, as I said, unethical ways of thinking that I couldn't even comprehend. So,
okay,
yeah,
but
I'm sure there's some. There's a million ways.
That's not a matter for me or anybody else, and certainly not the publisher, because the publisher is actually responsible for paying you. Now, you know what that's a matter for? The police.
Yeah, exactly.
That is the appropriate action to take in this case.
Yeah,
the police. For
sure. Well, and
if you investigate yourself and discover that you are not guilty, somebody's gonna have issues, and it's not gonna be you.
Yeah. Well, and I can tell you, as a previous GameStop employee, there is certainly no mandate from high up that says do this. So some stores probably had employees that thought, hey, this is a great thing to do. Or the manager went, fuck, I need to make a quota for this month of sales. Here's how we could do it. I'm sure that happens because
now that
activity happens all the time.
That's a horse of a completely different color.
Yeah, but as you're saying,
the corporate mandates have been a different kind of unethical.
Yeah. Well, and as I'm saying, GameStop as a company would be the ones contacting the police in that scenario and saying, "Hey, we need to deal with this." So, yeah, it's interesting for sure.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, only if it happened too much.
Yeah, totally. What's the next topic of discussion? This is interesting. I've not really ever put much thought into this, but it's fun.
Yeah, we love that. We love to have you back, Torque. But unfortunately, this is where we're going to have to end it for this week.
Oh, okay. Yep. Sounds good to me. And thanks for having me on.
No problem.
No problem.
Anytime you want to come back on, it's an open invite.
Nice.
Just let us know.
I'm down, guys. No worries there. So.
Okay. I would like to thank the panel for joining us today. And as always, do all the YouTube things, but beware, the tax man cometh.
Hello, folks. This is Morgan Freeman. This concludes our broadcast day. I'm Morgan Freeman. Good night.